とにかく楽しい、面白いエンターテインメントにしようっていうその一点でしたね。見終わった後に理解できない部分があったとしても、わからないっていう印象が先に立つんじゃなくて、わかんないけどものすごい面白かった、そういう作品にしたいと思った。
Japanese animation is pretty cool. I'm not sure how it compares to the prestigious and witty masterpieces that American audiences adore, but different artistic strokes for different folks. But Your Name has become a phenomenon that has surpassed classics like Spirited Away and the first Pokemon movie at the box office because people keep going crazy for it. So I decided to watch it and then watch it again, and was surprised to read that the director himself, Makoto Shinkai, doesn't fully like the movie, calling it incomplete and saying that people should stop watching it. Interesting. It is a coming-of-age love story with a twist, and the fact that it covers emotions of longing for something or someone you can't have, I guess, has captured the hearts of people who've claimed to have seen it freaking 20 times in theaters. Considering Shinkai also did 5 centimeters per second, I think it's safe to say this dude has major the one that got away problems. But know that Your Name is different. So to give my explanation of what happens in the end for those who are just seeking that, yes, they do get together. Not only is the red ribbon present, which I'll explain its importance later, but the movie's full of foreshadowing and quotes about predestination and how they'll find love. Just the fact that they turn around to look at each other shows you that they do sense each other's connection, and heck, even this promotional art that isn't in the movie gives you a hint that that's what the animators were thinking too. But in order to fully explain the ending, you have to start at the beginning. So let's travel back a bit. And by a bit, I mean thousands of years. The story takes place in the village of Itumori, which, side note, you can actually visit all of the real-world locations that inspired the landscapes. But as for the fictional one, it actually got hit by a comet long ago, and that's what causes that huge crater that you see. Considering that they're very religious in this countryside, the Shrine Maidens then follow certain rituals to worship their gods. It's because of this that there's a certain Donnie Darko meets Freaky Friday type power that's been passed down through the Shrine Maidens who follow these rituals. One of the main reasons for this gift, let's call it, is so the townspeople can be warned about the impending comets and prevent future disasters. And so we meet one of our main characters, Mitsuha, a young shrine maiden who's bored with her country life and exclaims that she'd rather be a handsome Tokyo boy instead. Which leads us to our second character, Taki, who just so happens to be that handsome Tokyo boy. Out of nowhere, it seems, they both begin to have dreams, and where they wake up in each other's bodies. Eventually, as they start leaving notes, they realize that they're actually swapping bodies, they just don't know that they're in different timelines. So let's break it down knowing that. In the first one, we have that comet that hits Itumori and causes that huge crater we see. The townspeople leave records of the disaster, but most are destroyed in a fire, and only the rituals and mysterious body-switching ability that very few know continue down generations. Move forward thousands of years to 2013, and you have a high schooler who's also reluctantly a shrine maiden who begins switching bodies with a boy who's in 2016. What's cool is that the grandma herself went through the same thing Mitsuha's going through, since she was also in her place at one point, except it seems grandma swaps didn't become a reality and they just remained a dream. The grandma, however, does explain part of the swapping by mentioning musubi and how that connects the physical and the spiritual worlds, and the sake, which plays a crucial part in why Mitsuha specifically gets to swap, even though she'll eventually be dead. It's because the sake contains part of her soul, and thus her spirit can live on, and since Taki eventually drinks it, the two connect and swap bodies. So, back to her mindset in 2013. After a few times of living out Beyonce's If I Were a Boy, she goes to Tokyo to meet Taki, but of course he doesn't know her yet, and he's also a middle schooler. She gives him this ribbon, which is super important because that fall of 2013, a comet hits her village, and she's dead. But because of the symbolic red ribbon that Taki now has, we can jump 3 years later to 2016 when he starts to experience the switching that Mitsuha was having in 2013, who again, be dead in the present time. He's been wearing the red ribbon as a lucky charm, and after several swaps, sets out to find Mitsuha and realizes she dead. He learns about the comet, drinks the sake as mentioned, and the two meet during twilight at a divine location that is unbound by time and space. Literally, Shinkai is so detailed with his animation that he even designed the background lake to be infinite to represent how time is eternal. It's there where he gives her instructions on how to save the village, but in order for them to leave this divine place, remember, they have to give up something that's dear to them. And thus goes the memories of each other. Timeline 2. Mitsuha saves the village, she ain't dead, and eventually moves to the city for what the director assumes is a job in fashion considering her childhood rituals. Taki graduates college, and like everyone starts searching for a job, but eventually finds something better. In the spring of 2022, as everything's blossoming and becoming anew, the two cross paths with each other, pause, and turn around to ask, "What's your name?" Then credits. Now yeah, I myself had a lot of questions on how they had smartphones and went to school, but never looked up the dates or other character decisions that happened, but like Shinkai says, it's a bit inconsistent and unbalanced, and he would have loved having a couple more years to work on it, but I want to go a bit deeper on some of the themes in the movie and explain some of the connections. So, first off is the idea of the multiverse, which is actually brought up by another character in the movie when talking about the subconscious. Like I explained with the breakdown, it pretty much plays off as different branches of events, where in one the comet does hit, and in the other it's prevented. If it helps, here's a couple other movies that deal with similar multiverse themes, thus causing multiple timelines that have different outcomes, which is kind of what Your Name is going for, mixing that scientific-ish idea with a spiritual world. And so, we go to the religious side of things, which is a crucial part in understanding the movie. Specifically, Shinto, the ancient religion of Japan involving the worship of ancestors and nature spirits. Mitsuha lives in a village where they've been doing these rituals for thousands of years. She herself is even a miku, or a shrine maiden, at the Miyamizu shrine where they make that delicious sake by chewing rice and spitting it back out. But it's the importance of these rituals that build up the story. The process of spitting out saliva in order to make the sake is what in turn represents Mitsuha giving up part of her soul. It's the first most important thing she gives up when she leaves the underworld. It may be weird to Western cultures, but I guess kind of think of it like communion for Christians and the other stuff that they do as well. That and the different festivals are done in order to keep the kami alive, which are the gods they worship. And in the Shinto religion, they consider their worship and nature to all be one. Again, if you're American, think of it like Disney's Moana and how they explained that everyone was one with the island. The movie itself even has this clash between a city boy and a country girl, which kind of sparks the differences between old traditions and what the country of Japan has evolved into today. Take for example Mitsuha, who wants to leave those old traditions behind and move to the city, and even her father who, while he complains about his daughter, ends up pursuing politics and decides to become the mayor right as he was entering the priesthood. You hypocrite. Overall, it's dissecting the idea of the old versus the new. Religion versus modern customs, and the struggle of keeping old traditions alive, like Damien Chazelle and his obsession for jazz. So for a story with themes of distance and longing and destiny, Shinkai does a fantastic job of visually showing it. Take for example the swapping scenes. Not only does he leave little clues to let you know that they're in different times, but every time that something weird happens to a character, the camera angles changes, showing you that a character is doing something unordinary in the other's body. He's used nature throughout a lot of his movies, as well as trains to signify destiny, the passage of time, and choices, which is a metaphor several other movies have used as well. Most importantly comes the red ribbon, which coincides with the legend of the red string of fate that connects people through destiny, no matter their place, no matter their time. Whether it gets tangled or crosses, it will always be set straight and stay connected, just like the relationship in the movie, which tells you that yes, they do end up together at the end. Some audience members have even associated the success of the movie due to the portrayal of the natural disaster, which many have related to the major earthquake that hit Japan back in 2011. Not only did that event affect thousands of people, but this movie kind of offered a fantasy, a what-if scenario that could have prevented it, and perhaps that's why thousands of people saw the film multiple times, causing it to break records. Finally comes the importance of names, since names are part of our identity. And what's interesting is how the movie plays out this catastrophic event just to end with two people learning each other's name. A love story, a tiny love story amidst something bigger. Ironically, that's kind of what Shinkai's gone through, becoming a household name for anime lovers through this huge event of a movie that has broken records, to even having people calling him the next Miyazaki. And that's not really what he wants. Just call back to M. Night when he was deemed the next Spielberg and what that did to him, because in reality, these storytellers just want to be themselves, yet audiences always want to compare and contrast. That's probably why Shinkai said the things he did about this movie as it's blown up, because in a sense, they're stripping him away from his identity and labeling him instead. And to me, that kind of coincides with my favorite part of this movie, where Taki, instead of writing his name on Mitsuo's hand, decides to write "I love you" instead. Because whether Mitsuo remembered his name or not, all he cared about was making sure that she wouldn't forget his presence and the feeling that someone out there loves her. Thank you guys for checking out this video. As always, definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Did you like this movie? Did you not? Or you a weeaboo? Or you not? You just like animation? Or maybe you hated this movie? Whatever your thoughts on this movie, definitely let me know down below in the comment section. And also, if there are any other movies you want me to do an ending explained or explained analysis, whatever type of those videos, let me know and I will start doing my research as soon as possible. Other than that, definitely let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. And don't forget, if you subscribe and follow me on Twitter, I will personally send you a red ribbon of fate that will transport you into another person's body. 100% legit. Until then, keep watching movies, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.